What's up, everybody? It's your boy Panic Knife here with thealphagamer.com, and today I'm going to be taking down Warlord Kephess in Terror from Beyond hard mode. Now, this isn't the cleanest kill of all time, and you'll notice that as you go along. There's a couple things I missed. I F up my rotation a few times. Slightly inebriated while we were playing this one. So is our main tank, but you know, it was all right, and this is a pretty good strategy for how to clear the boss. Now, our party composition allows us to have 2 ranged DPS away from the party to take the white spheres. Now, the white spheres are one of the biggest additions from story mode to hard mode. They essentially they add a damage over time and also interrupt the tanks, especially during the next phase that comes up. You're going to want to have the ranged DPS, or if you have a DPS so there's a jump like a Marauder, you're going to want them to take it down. It doesn't have a ton of HP. It's not too difficult to kill, but make sure they take that down quickly. Now, what will end up happening, and this is the entire first phase, is Kephess will attach himself with lightning to one of the pillars in the corners of the room. Actually, there's 6 of them, so it's corners and then the sides as well. You will basically identify which pillar that is, have the tank bring the boss over towards that pillar, and then Kephess will target somebody. At that point, the person that's targeted will get in between Kephess and the tower, more or less. At that point, what you're going to end up doing is standing between the two and wait for the pillar to go down. Once the pillar goes down, it'll knock Kephess down, which will buff the hell out of your DPS, and more or less that's about it. So you just rinse and repeat at that point. The tough part is during transitions. Now, if you're the person like me that's in charge of taking out the white spheres, I'm not really sure what they are. I guess they're orb spheres, something like that. If you're in charge of doing that, you need to grab it and get on it as quickly as possible, because if you don't and it's the tank, then it's going to put you guys at risk of wiping. The tanks will take a debuff. It's a static discharge debuff, more or less. Actually, you can see right now I'm going to go and do the standing in front of the pillar phase. But one of the tanks will take a debuff that's like a static discharge. It will attack everybody around them. They're going to run over towards, you'll see it spawn in just a second here. There's that thing, that blue AoE right there. It turns into a static discharge thing that will help them cleanse it. That will also help the tank cleanse off that white dot, but if they're the one on the boss at that point, I mean, you're pretty much screwed and you're going to end up wiping. More or less, that's the entire first phase of the fight. It's going to be, you know, making sure that somebody gets those white balls, that it doesn't hit the healer, so it doesn't hit the tanks, and just making sure that you get into the right position and DPS Kephess down to 50%. Now, one of the things that we've noticed is that a lot of the times after the 5th ball, we're at like 52, 51%. If at that point, you should probably hold up DPS so that you can sort of skip a phase and make it so that, you know, you get Kephess down to 44% after that last pillar, and that'll help you out towards the end, because once he hits his final enrage, you're going to need every little extra second of DPS, as you'll see as we end this fight. Basically, the second phase, which will be coming up in just a second here, I think this might be the last pillar. The second phase is pretty easy, but it's not, you know, it's not very easy if you're not a good communicator, that's for sure. Because basically what you're going to need to do at that point, and so, as you see, somebody stole my white pillar there, being a jerk, or my white sphere rather. Basically, this second phase, what you're going to end up doing, it's the same deal. Kephess will do a jump, and that will be basically the big difference. He'll jump on one person. Everybody needs to get away from that person. You'll see a fairly large red AoE. I think it'll be like 7 meters on each side. All you just need to do is walk away from that person, and you'll need to get on a pillar and bring him down. I mean, this whole fight is about, and here you can see that that big AoE right there. You're going to want to stay away from these pillars right here. Just make sure they don't hit you. If they hit you, you're kind of dumb. So, yeah, I mean, they come at you really slow. Now, you'll see this thing over my head called Corrupted Nanites. What you'll do at that point is you're going to click the pillar that is about to spawn right behind us. Watch, it will happen. Alright, there it is. So you see that this pillar is clickable. What you're going to do once you get nanites is, once you click the pillar, it will get rid of the nanites. The first phase, though, you're going to want to wait for 2 people to get them, because more or less you're playing a game where you're trying to make sure as many people as possible can cleanse their nanites and maximize the downtime for the boss. The second, third, and fourth phases with this, because you'll get 4 of these phases, you're going to hit with 3 people on the pillar at once. Now, as you start channeling it, it's a 6-second channel. As soon as there's no one channeling it after the channel has started, it'll break, and then the pillar will fall on Kephess, and more or less that's that part of the fight, or that's that part of the mechanic. Now, you're going to want to make sure Kephess isn't jumping during that phase, obviously, and you're also going to want to make sure that everybody who has nanites is clicking at that point. If you have more than 3 stacks of nanites, it's going to be a pretty large damage over time debuff, which you don't want to deal with. So once you get to 3, make sure that somebody's chaining it, and make sure that you got everybody on the pillar. Click it, break it all at the same time. Usually it helps if you have somebody who's a coordinated raid leader that'll tell you to click and then tell you to break. But that's about it. Now there's another thing that will come up in this, which is there's a radiation barrage kind of attack thingy. It's that little snake you see out in the ground there. Basically, if you see that there's a radiation barrage on you, you want to make sure you stay away from the rest of the raid and just run away from it. It's very slow. Again, this is sort of a a herp derp moment if you get hit by it, so just don't get hit by it. Now, the big thing is, once all 4 of these pillars are down, you want to make sure that each of them hits Kephess so that you get this the damage, the additional damage in each phase, because it will turn into a huge DPS race where he's throwing out tons of AoEs, and it's going to be impossible for the healers to keep you up too much. So you want to make sure he's as low as possible at that point. You want to make sure that all 4 of those pillars hit, and you want to make sure that you're about 7 or 8% going into that last phase. The biggest problem we had with this fight right here is we would get to that last phase and he'd be at like 11-12% because we missed one of the pillars, or somebody still had nanites, or somebody went down or something like that, and we would get him down to 3-2%, something like that, and he'd end up killing everybody. We'd have like 1 person left, just the tank, and he couldn't really stop to attack the guy at all. So you got to make sure that you're timing this stuff right. You got to make sure that there's actually 3 people on it for the last 3 of them. There's 2 on the first one. Make sure that no one has no one has nanites going into this last phase, because you're going to need as much uptime as possible. Avoid these AoEs and pretty much win. This isn't really the hardest fight in Terra from Beyond. It's not terribly easy in that it requires some coordination, but it's not nearly as complicated as the Master Controller. Now, as you can see, everyone's dying here. This is why it's not a very clean kill. But we had so many dots on him at that point that our tanks ended up taking him down. Anyway, we will bring you more coverage of Terra from Beyond hard mode as we get it. We have one more fight, the Terra from Beyond, and I think my guild should be able to clear it pretty soon. So hopefully I'll have a video for you. Anyway, with thealphagamer.com, this is your boy Panic Knife. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, fuck you.